$75,000. That's what the HOA president Karen Westfield fined me for storing too much rainwater in my own backyard. You want a story that'll knock the socks off anyone who thinks HOAs are about keeping things tidy? Pull up a chair because you're about to hear how one woman's greed almost turned an entire neighborhood into a swimming pool, and how an old water engineer decided I wasn't about to drown quietly. You know what I mean? When they say karma flows downhill, well, sometimes it floods. It started like most stories do with a piece of mail. Not the good kind either, the kind that's thick, official looking, and makes your stomach drop before you even open it. Willowbrook Homeowners Association gold lettering envelope so heavy it could double as a doorstop. I thought maybe it's another notice about raking my leaves, maybe a new rule against Halloween pumpkins on porches. But when I tore it open, I saw numbers that made my heart skip. Notice of violation and fine, $75,000. For what? Illegal rainwater storage. 30 days to pay or face foreclosure. Now let me back up a sec. My name's Dave Martinez. I'm 68, and I spent 4 decades as a municipal water engineer. I helped design flood systems for 3 counties. I literally helped write the water management codes this HOA claimed I was breaking. When my wife Elena passed 3 years ago, I moved here. Quiet little Willowbrook built a proper rainwater harvesting system. The whole thing permitted, inspected, even had a county rebate. I did it for Elena's rose garden. 3,000 gallons food-grade tanks, overflow pipes, filtration that would make a city engineer jealous. During droughts, my grass stayed green, and during storms, my system kept the runoff out of the street. Win-win, right? Except to Karen, the self-declared queen of Willowbrook. Her signature was right there on the letter. The violation notice quoted codes that don't even exist, said my unsightly water-hoarding tanks were dragging down property values and threatening community aesthetics. She gave me 30 days to pay up or lose my home. That's when I realized this wasn't about water or grass or tanks. This was a power trip. So I called the HOA office. Karen answered herself, all clipped syllables and fake cheer. Mr. Martinez, we need to discuss your illegal water hoarding situation. I tried explaining calmly at first that everything was legal, permitted, inspected. She cut me off, said community standards supersede individual property rights, and claimed they'd consulted municipal authorities. I asked which ones. She got real quiet, then threatened foreclosure again and hung up on me. Yeah, that happened. I could have just given up. Maybe that's what she expected. But after 40 years of dealing with city bureaucrats and developers, I knew how to play the long game. I pulled every code, every permit, every inspection. I called Maria Santos, my old colleague at the county water department. She's head engineer now, and as soon as I emailed her the fake citation, she called back furious. Dave, this is fraud. None of those codes exist. Your system is perfectly legal. In fact, you're helping the neighborhood. While Maria wrote up an official letter for me, I started poking around looking for a pattern. And boy, did I find one. Turns out Karen's not just an HOA president, she's also a real estate agent. And her company, Westfield Properties, had bought 6 homes in the neighborhood over the last 2 years. All from elderly owners, all sold cheap and fast after they'd been hit with massive HOA fines for violations, landscaping, electrical panels, a wheelchair ramp for God's sake. All official-looking documents, all quoting fake codes. All houses she flipped for a hefty profit. 3 of my neighbors, Joe Chen, Mrs. Patterson, and Tom Rodriguez, had their own horror stories. Joe got hit for unsafe electrical work after spending thousands on an upgrade. Mrs. Patterson, 80 years old, got fined for a vegetable garden Karen claimed it was attracting pests and degrading aesthetics. Tom's crime, installing a county-permitted wheelchair ramp. Karen wanted it ripped out. The pattern was obvious: target people who wouldn't fight back, drown them in fake paperwork, pressure them to sell. But here's where it gets wild. Maria found something in the permit records. Karen had illegally modified the neighborhood's drainage, rerouting a seasonal creek so her basement wouldn't flood. The problem: All that water now got sent straight toward the lowest houses, mine, Joe's, Mrs. Patterson's, Tom's. My rainwater system was the only thing intercepting the overflow. Karen was fining me for storing the very water her own illegal modifications dumped on my lot. Classic right. With Maria's help, we gathered every document, engineering drawings, fake citations, county approvals. We coordinated. We weren't just victims anymore, we were a team. Maria filed an emergency engineering report. The county scheduled a site inspection and called an emergency hearing. That's when the twist dropped. As the biggest storm in years rolled in from the Gulf, Karen fast-tracked foreclosure on all four of us, knowing full well she was about to be exposed. She showed up at the hearing with a high-priced lawyer, but the evidence was overwhelming. Inspector Rodriguez County's best showed everyone how Karen's drainage changes created a flood risk. My system, the one she wanted destroyed, was the only thing protecting the neighborhood. The county not only shut down the HOA's actions, they started a fraud investigation. Karen's face, when she got hit with the news, priceless. But she didn't give up. Oh no. She called a secret HOA meeting and pushed through a vote to have my rainwater system removed not for code violations, but aesthetic compliance. The board caved, terrified of getting sued by other residents. I had 48 hours to disconnect everything. And the storm was coming. That night, I walked out back and started dismantling my system. 3,000 gallons of flood protection gone. Felt like tearing up a piece of Elena's memory. I knew what would happen, but there was no legal way to stop it. Friday afternoon, the rain started. By evening, water was pooling everywhere. It shouldn't be on my street and Mrs. Patterson's driveway, swirling around Tom's ramp. Joe called panicked, saying water was rising by the minute. Then Saturday night, the heavens opened. It was a wall of water, sheets of rain gutters, roaring thunder, shaking the windows. I stepped outside, flashlight and hand water up to my ankles. Karen's precious street was a river. The modification she'd made had turned her own home into ground zero. By midnight, the county had emergency crews out sandbagging and pumping water from flooded basements, including Karen's, where the water reached 3 feet before dawn. Next day, every local news crew in the county was parked outside Willowbrook. Maria and Inspector Rodriguez gave interviews explaining how the illegal drainage and forced removal of my rainwater system had nearly created a disaster. The county attorney announced a criminal investigation into Karen and the HOA board. By the end of the week, Karen's real estate license was suspended, the HOA board was dissolved, and the neighborhood had a whole new respect for rainwater tanks and for the old engineer who fought back. Me. I got to reinstall my system county's orders this time with a sign saying, "Official flood protection, do not remove." Elena's roses bounced back in no time. And Karen, last I saw her, she was packing up, moving out with for sale signs, gathering dust in her own soggy front yard. Guess she forgot water always finds its way downhill, and sometimes so does justice. So here's the thing. If you've ever tangled with a power-mad HOA or watched your neighborhood get pushed around by someone with a badge and no sense, drop a comment. Is rainwater storage an eyesore or the smartest move you can make? Ever seen someone get what they deserve? Courtesy of Mother Nature, I want to hear your story. And hey, if you think justice ought to run as clear as fresh rainwater, smash that subscribe, because in Willowbrook, the fight for what's right is just getting started.